Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with me, and it is Thursday. Time for our faith journal. And last week I think I put week 5, and that was actually week 6. So this is week 7. So as usual, I am going to start out with some gesso to cover everything up because I'm going to be using some different mediums on here. And yes, that did make that ink smudge, but that's okay. And yes, I do have a little bit of paint in my brush, but that's okay too. I don't mind because it's going to have lots of color on it anyway. So it's not a big deal. We're going to do 2 separate pages today, but both of them are going to have the same verse on them. But the pages are going to be a little bit different. This page will have the King James Version scripture on it, and then this page is going to have, I think it's a New International or whatever, but they both mean the same. It's just that I had 2 things in mind, and I wanted to do both of them, and I didn't really know how I was going to do that, so I just decided to do 2 different pages. And we're going to be using, and let me get it all over me first, but we're going to be using the Delusions paints on this page. And all you do to use your Delusions paint is I usually use what's in the cap because it takes very little, and I use my little blending tool, and I just really barely tap it in there because this goes a long way. And I need to pull my picture back up because I am going by a picture today. And it's hard to keep my phone on. So we're going to put a little pink in here. See what I'm talking about? It's very opaque and it goes a long way. But all you have to do is just kind of blend that in. It's very smooth, so it blends very easy. So we'll put a little pink right there. And then I want a little green. And then I think we want a little orange. I'm ready for some spring weather, so I'm going to use a lot of bright colors on here today. And this photo came off of Pinterest, so I'm just using that. And it is using the Delusions paint, so see if we can get it anywhere near what they did. Let's see, I think I want a little I want a little of this teal. This one is called Vibrant Turquoise. And if I get all this on here without spilling it all over me, we're going to be doing really good. These paints dry very, very fast, so it's easy to blend them, and it's kind of hard to get mud with them because they do dry so fast. know right now it looks like a mess, but we will get it. And you can go back to your blending tools that still have the color on them and blend out, because it takes a while to dry on here. Once you get it started on your little blending tool, it's there. Let's put a little brown in here. And let me find another blending tool. Now we're just going to draw out a flower and on here. Put the stem on there first. We have our flower drawn out. Now let's see what we can do to make it show up. I don't know if this will work or if I'll have to go back to Mod Podge, but we will see. I just want to highlight it in this. And this is just a Sharpie paint pen in the white. Have our flower kind of colored in, and we're going to dry this, and we're probably going to need to put another coat on it, or maybe even some gesso, but I don't mind that color showing through from the background. So I think we might just put another color of the Sharpie on there, because we're going to do some more things to it anyway. So while that's drying, we're going to do the stem, and we're going to put some paint. This is the dark green. This is called Cut Grass. So we're going to put some paint in our stem here. And I don't have the right brush for this, I don't think. Okay, now I want to highlight these little circles, and what will I do that with? I'm thinking I may just do it with one of my markers. See what they did it with. Yeah, they just did it with a black marker, so I'm thinking I might just use this. Now I want to do some little circles on here. To just highlight. This is the key to my heart stamp set, and I think this will be cute on here. So let's put a stamp head on there, and I think I will use my new ink that Christopher Allen sent me. the Brutus Monroe Detailed Ink in Raven. And I don't care if if it doesn't stamp perfectly well, because I just want the faint hint of this in the background. That's it. Well, it stamped very well. His ink stamped very well, so well, there we go. I like that. His inks are very vibrant and stamp very well, so if you want just a faint hint of the stamp, make sure you stamp off first. So all we're doing now is just taking our red ink and our red paint, and we're just going around our circles. We're not trying to make them perfect, because there's going to be more that we're going to do to them anyway. And I will probably have to go back over this with another coat, and that's fine. Just want a few little circles in here to kind of brighten up the page. As if the page was not bright enough already. Oh, I like it though. It makes me feel like it's spring. It's like in the 70s here today, so it's nice. Tomorrow it may be 40 again. Who knows? Alabama weather. Ever changing. I think this is dry enough that we can put another coat. And I would use my Delusions white, but I gave that to someone because they didn't have one, so I gave that one away. So I'll just use this to color it, but the Delusions white would color this in very, very well. So if you have the white, you could use it to color this in. This works, but it's not as opaque as I need it to be. So it's going to take me a few coats, but I don't mind. That's fine. All I'm going to do now on these red dots is I'm going to take my finger, dip it in the paint, and I'm just going to touch the dots. To just kind of, sometimes your finger is a better paintbrush than a paintbrush. I seem to be able to control my finger a little bit more. I can a paintbrush sometimes. And there again, you're not going for perfection. This is an art journal, so just let it be free, let it flow. Take my 0.3 micron pen, and I'm just going to go around the flower since it's dry and just bring out those petals again. And I'm just going to do some rough sketching. I'm not going to try to make them straight or even. Just do some rough sketching on them. See how that makes the flower pop now that we have highlighted it or gone around it with our black pen. And now we're going to do the stem. And like I'm going to do it the same way, just a rough sketch, not trying to draw perfectly straight lines. And we will let this dry, and we will come back and finish off this page. It's dry, and I think now what I'm going to do, I've got these little words that come with this stamp set, and this is an old stamp set. It's Monarch. I'm not even sure where I got it or who made it, but it has words live, love, and laugh. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp those on here. I made sure my page was good and dry. And I'm going to stamp them kind of randomly. And all I'm doing is inking it up, and then I'm wiping off that little dot that's at the beginning of it, because I really don't want that. That one didn't stamp so great, but that's fine. Put a few more around different areas. Okay, I think that is all I'm going to do on that. And I cut out I had just a scrap piece of paper, something that I had spritzed on one time. I cut that out, and then I put a few of these colors on there, just splattered it, and I wrote my scripture on there, and I'm going to use that in my top corner right there. But first, what I want to do is do some shading and some inking. So I'm going to shade with this Faber-Castell Pitt pen. And to shade with this is permanent when dry, but when you first put it down, you have just a short window of time that you can smudge it. So if you put a little bit down there and then just take your finger and just smudge it, then you've got the shadows that you want. Just don't forget to smudge it. See how it actually makes the flower look like it's more embedded in the page and more part of the page instead of just drawn on top. After I did my shading, I went back in and redefined my flower a little bit. I had got a little crazy with the black. So now what we're going to try to do, hopefully this will work and it's dry enough, we're going to use our Sharpie, and we're going to put a few little dots around these little circles on the inside. We highlighted them on the outside with the black, so now we're just going to put a few little circles, little dots on the inside just to make them pop. Now you can do as much or as little shading as you want. That is strictly your preference. the more shading that you do on things like this, of course, the more it will look uniform, the more your page will look blended, and it will look like everything fits instead of things are just kind of laid there. And we're also going to go around the stems that are coming out. Anytime that you do a page like this and you have a lot of excuse me, bright colors, if you put a little white in there on top of it, it makes everything pop. That white just brings out everything that's on the page. See the difference in this one and that one? It just kind of makes it pop off the page. And that's what I like. Anytime that you do a page like this and you have a lot of excuse me, bright colors, if you put a little white in there on top of it, it makes everything pop. That white just brings out everything that's on the page. See the difference in this one and that one? It just kind of makes it pop off the page. That's what I like. What I'm doing now is just putting a little cross hatching in different areas. And that just kind of brings, again, it brings that white to the page and just kind of makes things pop. And you could, you know, I can go on and on and on with this. I love putting the details in. That's what's therapeutic to me. And try to go in odd numbers, you know, 3s, 5s, things like that. That will make it a little bit better as far as being more, your eye just loves the odd numbers for some reason. I'm going to put a little bit of dots around here just to kind of bring this out and make the leaves or the petals look a little bit more uniform. Put a few right here, and then we'll put our sentiment on. Alright, our sentiment is going to go here, and I'm hoping that is going to be close enough to the colors on the page that I won't have a problem with it looking like it's gonna, like it doesn't belong. But we can always put some shading or something around it. And a lot of people are asking me about the glue. Our art glitter glue is not yet. We're not getting the shipments yet, but hopefully it will be very soon. I am begging them to start shipping them out to us, because it is warm enough here that I don't think anything's going to freeze, but I know they're coming from up north, so, and it's still really cold up there. So we will see. But as soon as we get those in, I will let you know. I'll post about them and let you know. So now, to make this look like it actually belongs on the page, we're going to do a little dotting around it. Here we go. Alright, I think that page is finished. I love it. I love how everything come together. And our saying is from Colossians 3:14, or our verse, and it says, "And above all these things put on charity, which is the bond of perfection." Then I told you on this page I was going to do something a little different. And I'm trying... This page, I warped it a little bit and I didn't dry it really good, but So we're going to do something a little different on this page. And this is going to be a real trial and error because I cannot draw. But we're going to try. We're going to try to draw a clothes hanger. Now, whether I accomplish it or not is a different story. Well, that's not so bad. Could be worse. And I'm thinking that may be the right place. And I'm supposing I should have used my good eraser instead of this one, but that will work. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, first off, I'm going to highlight that because I want to make sure that it stays. And I'm just using, again, this is a Sharpie fine tip click pen. Okay, I think we can move this now so I won't be crinkling it all the time. And then we're going to do some stamping. So we'll take these off and put these where I won't lose them. And I'm going to stamp this little flower and I'm going to stamp just the, if you can see here, this is actually a bird that's sitting in a branch, but I don't want the bird, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to selectively ink my stamp just here when I stamp it, and we hope that will work. Alright, what colors do we need to use? I'm going to use some of my archival inks. I think I'll use Rose Madder, Pale Ochre, and Monarch Orange to stamp my flower out in. Just going to stamp my flower on the as if it were hanging on the hanger. Try one more color. We'll use some magenta hue. Okay, I think that'll work. I'm going to use the emerald green to try to selectively ink up my stamp. And I'm just kind of cupping it around my finger and then try to put it down. There we go. So you're just using your finger as a stamping block. Okay. I don't think we need to put a few branches around this. There we go. Now this one is going to be a lot simpler than that side, hopefully, if it works right. But all we're going to do here is we're going to write out our verse. And I think I'm just going to start with this pen. So, and regardless of, that's of, and I know my little swirlies don't make it look like that it's of, but that is OF. And then we're going to change to our Copic. Hopefully I can write with this. Then we'll change to one of our big brush pens. We're going to write this smaller. Let's change to a lighter green. And now, let's see if we can do this in the red. So, and regardless of what else you put on, wear love. And then we're going to take our little stamp . I think I'm just going to go around the page with this little stamp just to kind of outline it, since this page is a little bit bare. And this ink that we used was the Jurassic from the Brutus Monroe line. That's what we used to outline the outside edges. And I think I am happy with that. We may stamp a few flowers right up in there just to kind of make it a little bit uniform. So let me get my colors again. Just to fill in the page. I think I will go back over my little hanger just to kind of bring it out a little bit, since I've almost covered it up with all of my stamping. Make the line a little thicker.